Okay, so when black jumps out, now is a good time for white to go ahead and kick. We said before that white didn't want to do this because he'd get an ideal extension, but now because of this stone and because there will be 3, it's a little concentrated, and so the danger of white extending in response to this is not really there anymore, and by playing this move, black takes an opportunity, or white takes an opportunity to go ahead and capture the corner. He also threatens to link up with this stone. If black were to Tanuki, white has several possibilities that would allow him to divide black and get even more. So this move is also a Sente move.
And I think that's the bigger point, is that the reason that white can kick now instead of before is because it's Sente.
Yeah.
Black can technically ignore it, and he's not going to die.
Yeah.
The reason black's not going to die is because he has so much on the outside here, he can just kind of run away and get a wall.
Yeah.
So if black decides to Tanuki, which means to play elsewhere, then white's follow-up will turn into black living with kind of a small wall here, and white getting a big corner and some territory on the side in exchange for black's move elsewhere.
Right.
So it's technically an option for black, but the problem is that
he's already played over here. He's already decided for whatever reason that this is something he wants, and ignoring would just, again, it's not cataclysmic for black, but it just gives white more than he deserves.
So if you're further on, if you're deeper in the game, and something more important is happening elsewhere, then black has the option to ignore this, but as it stands,
as an opening game Joseki,
black has better follow-ups. So we're going to look at 2. They kind of end up being the same.
They're close enough.
They're close enough to where we're going to combine them. So the first one, and the one played most often, is just to descend. And doing that allows for a pretty clean kill on this white stone, which leads to a pretty good extension off of the side.
Right.
Also, it means that there is some follow-up in the corner because black now has the option to do a monkey jump later in endgame.
Right. It's too small to do now, so this actually ends the Joseki with this descent. So it's too small, even though that's a threat, it's too small for white to respond to immediately. But eventually, the threat here of jumping in and taking this corner is real, and so it needs to be dealt with.
And so looking at this, examining this as it stands, we would see that black probably gets a stone, although white, and gets a nice extension. White gets Sente, most of a corner, and a little bit of Aji. Right? Would you agree?
Yeah, I think so.
The other option is for black to Hane here, which is a little greedy. It's
a little more aggressive.
It's a little more aggressive. It's asking for a bit more. It's kind of asking white to make a mistake, because if white plays badly, then there are some good follow-ups. But basically, the move is obvious. Yeah.
So white, because this move is a little more aggressive, it threatens to just really rob white of everything that he's got. So white needs to go ahead and block. So he'll just block the Hane there.
And then black might be tempted to Atari here, but that's bad because it takes away... It basically finishes the corner, whereas there could have been good follow-ups later.
Yeah, if white plays here, he just for sure gets the corner. Black still got cuts.
And black still has to do something. Notice that black still has to play here.
Yeah, so it gives...
So it finishes
white
things.
Would be happy for black to push him into solidifying.
Right. There's even moves like this, where where you can just white can poke at stuff.
Right.
So black does not want to Hane, or Atari there. The better move is just for black to... connect.
Right. And so that ends the Joseki here, although again, just like with the last time, we know that black, as an in-game follow-up, has this move, which again can threaten to take white's corner, or at least take part of it. It kind of gets complicated, but anyway, it's
the punchline
small enough that white wouldn't need to play to prevent that immediately, right? This would end in the Joseki, but just like before, we've got the follow-up.
And there is a follow-up with this clamp, as was mentioned. And we don't need to go through the whole thing.
Yeah, these get there's complications from this stuff.
Black can take some stuff in the corner. Now, what I wanted to point out is that you'll notice that what we did before was a monkey jump, and what's happening here now is a clamp that takes away a few points in the corner as an end game progression.
Reduction kind of thing.
The difference between these two things is so subtle that it's beyond what we can really describe at our level. But there is a difference, and so being able to judge those two differences as you improve and get better, that's co-threats and end game calculations, things that might make a difference. But looking at it from our level, really, what we see is the big stuff. The overview is that black gets to kill this stone. White gets to keep a corner, and there's a little bit of follow-up later, but mostly...
Right, white comes out of this immediately with Sente, since it
and
doesn't
that's
have
the
to.
thing, yeah, and white always gets Sente, so black gets this, white gets Sente.
Right, that's
and
it.
That's the end.